Welcome to the Backyard Bourbon Broadcast. In this episode, Jeremy samples the highly sought-after Nelson's Greenbrier Belle Meade Bourbon, discusses journalistic integrity, and throws in a few more thoughts about movies. This is episode 37 of the Backyard Bourbon Broadcast. Hey there, Backyardigans. How y'all are? I'm finally getting to the samples the good folks at Nelson's Greenbrier sent me. They sent us some mini samples of their Belle Meade Bourbon and the Belle Meade Cask Strength. So I'm excited to get to that because I haven't been able to find that in local stores anywhere around here. And if you're on Instagram and follow a few of the contributors there in the whiskey community, the Belle Meade is making a strong showing on the old interwebs, and that just makes me want it more and more, and it makes it more intriguing when you can't find it in your home state. So I'm working on getting a distiller's podcast going with these guys, but so far our schedules have been crazy getting together, so getting on the same podcast has been a challenge, but look for that coming up next month, hopefully. I'm also trying to work in a distiller's podcast with the folks at Cali Distillery. You'll remember them from the Riptide Rye episode. So we've got plenty of future material and material for future episodes. Also, I don't know how many of you good listeners are from right here in Stilley, Oklahoma, but this coming Thursday, September 27th, the band I play in is playing a benefit concert in the Little Theater at the Student Union. You should come check us out if you're in the area. And 2 days later, we'll be playing the vaunted Eskimo Joe's on Saturday, September 29th. I think around 9:30 on Saturday, and I think it's 7:30 on Thursday. So drop by and say hello if you're at one of those shows. Okay, before we get to the bourbon, I wanted to say something about Hurricane Florence and specifically the news media coverage around it. First of all, hopefully everyone is okay. If you know somebody and they are affected by this, they have my sympathy for sure. We can sometimes get a mini hurricane, micro hurricane here in Oklahoma, and it's intense, but it only lasts for an hour or maybe two at the most. But I mean, it's nothing to compare to a hurricane. I can't imagine the flooding and damage and overwhelming devastation that causes. If there's anything we can do, please reach out to us. I don't know what we could do, but feel free to contact us. Now, the media coverage is another story altogether, and I have no sympathy for this. Perhaps you saw the video on Twitter of the Weather Channel broadcaster. He's like struggling against the wind, the hurricane, the rain, and like he's leaning into the wind and telling him how bad it is. And then in the background, two guys just walk past him with no problems, just standing right up. Meanwhile, the broadcaster's still acting like he's struggling against the elements. He has no idea that the camera's picking up those two yahoos in the background. Come on, Weather Channel. That's pathetic. Their official reasoning was that the broadcaster was on grass, while the people in the background were on pavement. Well, step off to the pavement, fool. This has happened before with a broadcaster doing a newscast from a canoe, and someone steps by in what was only ankle-deep water. And this is the credibility gap between the public and the news. This is why people don't trust the news. And I think things like this is where that starts. It's my own personal opinion, but I know for a fact newscasters are constantly pushed to look for creative ways to tell a story. And I get it. You can only do so many 100th birthday celebrations and new dollar store openings at WTFF's News on 5 in Paducah, Kentucky before you stick a gun barrel right in your mouth and start fiddling with the trigger. But if you're not careful, being creative easily morphs into outright fabrication, and that's what happened in these cases. And your brain is not going to tell you, hey, this is a lie. You've been trying to get creative, and you've passed that line, and your brain's not paying attention. This is especially true if the event is a recreation. Well, this did happen, but just not right now, and not right here. That's a real slippery slope. And that's only part of what has happened here. Trying to get creative, trying to tell a story in a fresh way, that's one thing. The other part, and probably the instigator in these fabrications, is that the news channel, in this case, Weather Channel, is pushing the story. And when it's a big event, a hurricane in this instance, the Weather Channel is happier than a tornado in a trailer park. We've all seen this, from our local weather stooges screaming about the snowstorm that's not coming, then all the bread and milk disappears, to the Weather Channel screaming about Florence or whatever other stupid name they can come up with, and 2 days later, it's over. And where are they? Now that the devastation is real and people's lives are actually upside down, it's adios, we got a flight to catch. And they're back in New York. Oh, the things we saw. Rivers are flooded, lakes flooded, streams flooded. You think? Half the ocean showed up right outside North Carolina. Where do you think the water was going to go? They're talking about a hurricane for 9 straight days and then don't expect anyone to get wet. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, last time we talked about the Meade documentary, so it got me thinking a bit more about the movies I constantly watch. Bull Durham, for instance. Story about fear and ignorance. It's a story of Crash Davis, the fear of getting older, training people who will eventually replace you, who will get better than you, who will get more accolades than you. The world is passing you by and you have no control over it. Ever have one of those days? I love that movie. I could watch the Bulls mascot getting beamed in the head over and over again. Plus, Crash drinks bourbon. Do you find yourself pouring a drink when you're watching a movie that even remotely references bourbon? I do. You find yourself automatically liking people based on their love of bourbon? I do. I mean, there's something with bourbon drinkers we all share. I can't imagine what it is, but I imagine it's the same with all spirits, though. But the point is that some of these movies, I'm trying to think of some others that just make you want to have a stiff drink. So there it is. Let's get to the Belle Meade review. Sour Mash, straight whiskey bourbon. Now, like I have probably said already, this is not anything I've been able to find in stores around here. So, kind of got a similar fragrance, similar to the Evan Williams small batch. It's a sour mash, so you know that makes sense. So I'm gonna try a little, just neat here. Yeah, good strong sour mash fragrance on the nose. Yes, that is a very good sour mash. More I have of that, like I said, the Evan Williams small batch, I think, is a sour mash. No, the 1783. There we are. Sorry. The more I have of those, let me check my gain. Sorry. I'm going to crank my gain up just a little bit there. At any rate, and this Belle Meade sour mash is very tasty. I'm going to get the paperwork out here in a second. Oh, yeah. That is very smooth. It's not an overpowering sour mash. Like the Evan Williams, if you're not ready for it, it's going to slap you with the teaching side and the learning side. But this one is very smooth. So, yeah, I'm trying to see on this little sample bottle, it doesn't... There it is, 45.2. So it's 90 proof, 90.4 proof. I'm going to try it on the rocks as well. I've got a cask strength here. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm just going to try the cask strength neat. Let me switch over to that bottle here. Now the cask strength is just a very simple label that they put on there. Cask strength reserve. So I'm thinking that's going to be a higher proof. Don't know what it is because it's not on the label. Ooh, yeah, you can smell that. That is that's a higher proof. You can tell. Let me clear the palate here. Okay, here comes cask strength. No, that's very good. It's not overpowering. Very similar to the sour mash. Oh man, I like that. On the bottom of the bottle, it says RS or R5. So, yeah, okay. So we're gonna go back to the sour mash and let me find their paperwork. I'm gonna try it on the rocks. You know what? I might as well fill the whole thing full. Cask strength. I'm picking up like almost like a slight licorice aftertaste there. Very slight, but it's there nonetheless. Okay. So I've got all sorts of literature here from the folks at Nelson's Greenbrier. Try and break it down like a fraction for you. Whoop, that was expensive. 105 years after Prohibition forced the closure of one of the nation's most prolific whiskey producers, two young descendants of its pioneering founder, Charles Nelson, have thrown open the doors to their revived Nelson's Greenbrier distillery in the colorful Marathon village of Nashville, Tennessee. At its high point in the late 1800s, the distillery was known the world over, selling close to 380,000 gallons of whiskey annually, more than 10 times the production capacity of other known brands. I'm guessing they're hinting at Jack Daniels over there, but that's just a guess. Today, with whiskey in their blood, the Nelson brothers have launched the second wave of the historic family venture. So it goes on to talk about the product, several different products, small batch Belle Meade bourbons, classic, cask strength, single barrel, cask strength reserve, and special cask finish series with sherry, cognac, and Madeira casks. All sorts of options that they are coming up with. So let's see, the 2 double gold medal accolades from San Francisco World Spirits. So lots of accolades there. If you're on social media, you've probably seen a lot of pictures of people proud of the Belle Meade. So like I said, I can't find it around here, but luckily I was able to get a sample. Quick biographies of the brothers Nelson, Andy, and Charlie. Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We're going to start with Charlie. Charlie Nelson is the namesake of his triple great-grandfather, Charles Nelson, German immigrant whose drive and ingenuity built the most productive distillery in Tennessee until Prohibition shut it down. Now, with his brother Andy, Charlie is bringing back the legendary Tennessee whiskey and bourbon that were once known and loved the world over. Andy Nelson was barely of legal drinking age when he and his younger brother Charlie, who wasn't, embarked on their life's mission to revive their historic family distilling business. With the opening of the new Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery and Tasting Room in Nashville, the brothers are striding confidently in the footsteps of their great-great-great-grandfather. Did I get him? Great-great-great-grandfather. Had a little too much of your product, boys. You gotta slow down the counting. Andy claims the role of head distiller, devoting all his considerable energy to the creation of classic spirits. One more page here, folks. Cask Strength Reserve, which is the second bottle I opened. July 4th, 2018. The birth anniversary in 1835. Founder and forebearer Charles Nelson. Well, that's awfully patriotic, even though he's German at the time. Well, I guess he's German the full time. He just wasn't in the country at that time. A fine blend of 7 superior barrels, bottled at cask strength and featuring the same high rye character. That's what I was noticing. Some rye. For which Belle Meade bourbon is known. Like the name says, this reserve blend will not be cut to proof, and like a prized single barrel, it will vary by batch in the likely range of 110 to 120 proof. Barrels combined in the reserve are from 7 to 11 years old. Ooh, wow. And are carefully selected for their excellent flavor character and strong blending capability. The result is a blend that is far greater than some of its individual parts. Available to wholesalers nationwide, MSRP $59.99. That's dollars, y'all. Well, this is very, very delicious stuff. I am going to enjoy the rest of this little sample bottle. Obviously, if you have the means and the wherewithal to acquire such a bottle, I would highly recommend it. It's very tasty. Very good bourbon. So go for that. That is good. Thank you very much to the fine folks at Nelson's Greenbrier. That is a wonderful bourbon. Thank you very much for sending it my way. Okay, folks, that'll about do it for episode 37. We've gone kind of long, so I'm going to just wrap this up. Thank you, huge thank you to the folks at Nelson's Greenbrier for the Belle Meade samples that you sent me. This is wonderful bourbon, and if I can find it somewhere here in Oklahoma, I will be sure to purchase one if I get the chance. So that's it. Hope you all are doing great. I'll talk to you later. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.